It is a persistent historical puzzle. Fortunes are built, handed down, and often vanish within 3 generations. The money evaporates, the estates are sold. Yet specific behavioral traits, a grandfather's patience, a grandmother's rigid work ethic, often survive perfectly intact across decades. The challenge is the transfer. How do you pass a value like honesty to a child whose mind operates entirely in the concrete, immediate present? You cannot hand over a philosophy like you hand over a watch. To see how this happens, we can look at a specific case study, a grandfather named Dada and his young grandson, Pota. Their baseline dynamic is built on pure, unshaped enthusiasm. Every evening, Pota waits at the door, turning his grandfather's arrival into an event, sprinting into his arms the second he walks in. At this age, the boy focuses on things with immediate utility, toys, allowances, things that break or get spent. Dada, however, is playing a longer game. He wants to build a framework in the boy's mind that will last a lifetime. A moral framework isn't something a child simply picks up through proximity. It has to be built, piece by piece, through a deliberate act. The right conditions often arrive by chance. For Dada and Pota, it's an afternoon of heavy, driving rain. A sudden storm traps them on the veranda. The daily routine halts, forcing them into a rare, quiet isolation. Dada uses this pause. He knows that a lecture on ethics would likely be ignored. Instead, he uses the power of a story to bridge the gap between his experience and the boy's curiosity. He shares visceral stories from his own youth. He describes the exhaustion of walking miles to school and the thrill of scaling massive mango trees with his friends. The concepts of kindness and honesty are woven into these memories. The strategy works. Pota leans in, his eyes wide, firing off questions after every story. The ideas are finding a home because they arrive as entertainment rather than instruction. Oral history creates the blueprint, but words alone can be forgotten as the years pass. For these values to take root, they need to be tied to something the boy can touch. Before the rain even stops, Dada moves from stories to action. He takes Pota into the garden, and together they plant a fragile mango sapling, pressing wet soil firmly around its base. Then Dada steps back. He hands Pota the daily responsibility of watering the plant. It is no longer Dada's project. It belongs to the boy. This animated timeline shows the beginning of a parallel growth. The sapling and the boy have now entered a synchronized timeline, starting together at year 0. As the years advance, the repetitive act of watering forces the boy to practice care, even on days he'd rather be playing. On the bottom axis, we see the accumulation of these small habits: routine, discipline, and responsibility. The tree provides a constant, visible measure of Pota's effort. Every new branch is a physical reminder that his consistency has an impact, reinforcing the stories Dada told him on that rainy afternoon. As the tree puts down deep roots and thickens its trunk, the years of quiet discipline begin to define the man. By the time the tree is sturdy enough to withstand a storm, the child has spent a decade practicing the very values Dada first described. This shared responsibility is what converts a childhood story into a permanent way of life. Years later, the scale of that afternoon's work is undeniable. The fragile green stem is long gone, replaced by a massive, towering mango tree that completely dominates the garden. When Dada and the adult Pota rest beneath its canopy, the shade serves as a trigger. It brings back the memory of the rain, the stories, and the day they first put the sapling in the ground. The tree is now a physical monument to their shared history. It holds the memories of 2 generations within its wood, anchoring their bond to this specific patch of earth. Looking back, Pota understands the true nature of what he inherited. The time, the stories, and the shared purpose of the tree are worth more than any financial estate. The ultimate legacy is grown, not given. It starts as an idea, is nurtured by discipline, and eventually becomes a permanent shelter of wisdom that outlasts the person who planted it.